All right, so we are recording. I'm so excited. It's a little late night action with some Miami energy and vibes in the background. So I was just asked how I'm liking being down here in Miami, which I just moved here from Chicago back in September, and I love it so much. So it's one of the things that is the best accountability for what I do for a living, which is I'm like a dream dealer, hashtag dream dealer. I hand out dreams. So I find out what people's wildest imagination is in terms of what they actually want and then help them work themselves towards that. So my name is Morgan. For any of you who do not know me, I'm Morgan Field. I am the founder of Epic Sexy You, which is a global phenomenon. We're in 18 countries and counting, which is incredibly exciting. So I'm always on the hunt for another country to get that epic sexy you energy into another country. And yeah, so I also am the best-selling author of Epic Sexy You, No Limits, No Rules, and it's a 6-time award-winning book. So I plan on adding more awards as we go to that as well, constantly collecting more awards. More awards to me just means that it's getting in front of more people and changing more lives, helping people realize that you can literally have the life that you dream of, the body you dream of, the business you dream of, whatever you want, it can be yours. And that's some of what we're going to be talking about today as well. And then also, one of the things people ask me quite a bit whenever I do stuff like this is, why should I listen to you, right? Like, what would you know about not having what you want? What would you know about not having the body you want? What would you know about, maybe being on that struggle bus? And one is, I'm still human. So I still ride the struggle bus in my own way. I'm always going to be growing. And two is, what I share in the book, which is why I wrote the book, is I remember almost like waking up and looking around me and being like, whoa, this is not the life I envisioned for myself, or I don't even know what I envisioned for myself. But it's not this. And I remember just feeling like there was so much more to life. And I was about 35 pounds overweight. I had several autoimmune diseases that I had been diagnosed with, that I had just struggled with my whole life. I had sacrificed love and relationships for success and money and working my way up the corporate ladder. And so what I share in the book and the pieces of what I'll share with you today is, it's like all of the things that I learned along the way as I reconstructed my life to really be in alignment with who I wanted to be and what I actually wanted in life. So one of the things I'm really excited about to talk about today is one of the things that came up when Grace Marie and I were talking about doing this together was like, what is it that your community wanted, right? And it was really cool because one of the ladies wrote in, and Grace Marie shared it with me, and basically just said, like, what I'd love is to learn how to be healthy and balanced and fulfilled and just simply excited about my goals. And I was like, well, why don't we just call it that? Like, why don't we just play with that and allow it to be that? And so I sat down and I said, okay, what would that look like? A life where, if your desire is to be healthy and to be balanced and to be fulfilled and to just be excited about your goals, what are some of the magical, yummy formulas and equations that need to be, or the ingredients that would need to be in your life in order for you to do that? And so it was interesting because I kind of reverse engineered today. I said, well, if you don't have those things, what's getting in your way? Because sometimes our brain just functions. I've been studying the mind for over 6 years now. And sometimes our brain just functions in ways where it's like, tell me what I'm doing wrong, right? So that I can do something different. So we're going to talk about what you might be doing that's getting in your own way. Again, that's what the book is full of. It's just, what are some things that you might be getting in your own way to bring new consciousness? And also, what can you do to get out of your own way? So there are 5 things that, as I was really sitting down and playing with, what can help you get into this space to to whatever it is that you want. It's just, we're just using this example of healthy, balanced, fulfilled, and excited about your goals because, I mean, it's just an example of someone sharing desire, which is also cool because I didn't even think about this until I'm saying this out loud right now. But we're going to talk a little bit about, well, first of all, you have to know what you want, which this person did. And then you have to actually ask for what you want, which this person did too. So this person is basically, whoever this person was who asked for this, it's like, how beautiful is this? A validation that all you have to do is ask for what you want. And it actually gets created. So we built the whole thing around. So we're going to use examples that are tangible to this particular person's desire. And also I want each person who's listening, whether it's live or on the recording, to start thinking about. So that's the first thing I want you to think about. I just want you to take about 30 seconds to pause and actually think about, because I'm going to walk you through what you might be doing that's getting in your own way. So the very first thing I want you to think about is, what is the thing that you actually want in the first place? And if you have a pen and paper, I'd actually recommend that you write it down. What is it that you actually want? So the individual who wrote in, she was very specific, be healthy, balanced, fulfilled, and simply excited about her goals. What is it that you actually want? So you're going to notice we're going to do some guided work together today. And so I'm going to ask you some questions and you're going to have the recording so you can come back to this. So we're starting to just plant seeds and open up new possibilities. So if you start to write some things down, it's like you can always come back and add things to that later. We're just trying to help play with how to actually create and manifest what you actually do want. So one of the very first things in terms of being able to step into a life that you love living, a you that you love being, a body that you love being in, whatever it is that you want, a business, creating a business that you love, whatever it is that you actually want, the very first step of that is clarity. Clarity of desire. Like, what do you actually want? The number one thing. So just to give you background, I, for years, have been working with people one-on-one. I've traveled, I was in 8 countries last year, traveling the world, working on this stuff with people. And whether it's a live event or whether it's a retreat, and the number one thing, hands down, over and over and over, that has people stuck is when I ask them what they want, they either don't know what they want and they look at me like blank eyes, you know, like as if that was like I was speaking another language. Like they're frustrated that they don't have the life that they want. And then I'm like, okay, tell me, what is it that you actually want? And they're like, okay, so that's one thing. Or they start to tell me what they don't want. Well, I don't like this and I wish I don't have this. So if you thought of some of those things or you wrote some of those things down, just pay attention that it's just maybe a pattern that you're focusing your energy and attention on things that you don't want. So we have to understand, right? Fuzzy targets don't get hit. So we have to actually understand what we want. And if we know what we don't want, the beauty in that is we can flip it. So that's actually the most common thing, more than the blank stares that I get, is I often get, people telling me what they don't want, or they'll start to tell me what they do want, and then they flip it, they keep flipping it into, and I don't like this, and I don't want this, and I would like this to stop. That is not clarity on what you want. That is very crystal clear on what you don't want, and chances are when you are focused on what you don't want, you're actually creating more of what you don't want. Whether you're in a relationship, whether it's with your kids, whether it's with your diet, whether it's with your work, it doesn't matter what the topic is. It's about energy. Is if you're focusing on something that you don't want, you're actually bringing more energy and attention to it, and you're creating more of it. So if you really want to create something that excites and delights you, you have to actually know what that thing is and what you want. So let's talk a little bit about clarity, because sometimes people tell me, so as an example, this particular individual, and we're just using it as an example, but this particular individual wrote in when we were going to do this recording, and they said, okay, you know what? I want to be healthy. I want to be balanced, fulfilled, and simply excited about my goals. So my first question would be, what does that even mean? Because oftentimes we use words, I want to feel loved. Oh my gosh, that is so loaded, right? Like, what does that actually mean? And the thing is what that means to me is going to be different than what that means to you. It's actually one of the most common things I see in the workplace and in relationships, friendships, family ships. I make up a lot of words, guys, so you're going to have to follow me here. But in like every type of relationship that you could possibly have, an area where it actually breaks the communication and the connection is just clarifying, what does it actually mean? And oftentimes with our own relationship with ourselves, this is happening as well. We're frustrating ourselves because I know exactly what I want. I want to be healthy, and I want to be balanced. I want to be fulfilled, and I want to be excited about my goals. And it's like, well, let's break this down. So I want you to look at the list of things that you wrote down that you said that you actually wanted. And I want you to look for some of these words that might be, the language I'm hearing is like a fluff word, right? It's kind of fluffy. It's like, oh, I want love. I want, better connections. I want to be healthy. I want to lose weight. I want to work out more. I want to have a better relationship with this person. Whatever you're writing down that feels like it could allow more clarity, which is probably everything. Just take a second and look at that stuff and actually write down one layer deeper. So if you want to have a healthier relationship with yourself, as an example, you want to love yourself more. You want to have a better self-love care regimen. What does that actually mean? So I want you to take a second, pick something on your list, anything. And if you want an example, feel free to use the chat on the chat box, and you can type something in, and I'm happy to like verbally give you a tangible example, or I can ask you questions. You don't have to, but just know at any point in our journey here, if you have any questions, or if you would like live examples that I can riff on your actual tangible example, we can do that as well. So just take a second and think about looking at some of your stuff and going, okay, what does this actually mean here? How can I make this more specific, more transparent, more clear, more tangible, more measurable, more actionable? I'm going to give you an example, because this might also help depending on where you are in your journey, as far as just to give new possibilities into your, we typically have neural pathways that we've gone through enough times, like a little trail, and we've gone through enough times that that's the trail that we tend to use. So to give you maybe a new trail to use in your mind is thinking about the fact that how we define words oftentimes are actually from our subconscious mind. They're from experiences that we've had. They're from maybe someone else defined the word for us. Maybe it was something that was kind of defined in childhood, or it comes from the dictionary, right? So like the word success, as an example. When I was in the corporate world, I did not even realize that how I was defining success was how much money I had, if my bills were paid off, the title that I had, etc. That lack of definition, or the definition that was just coming from the abyss, if you will, put me in a position where I was constantly in the hustle for things that actually didn't bring me fulfillment. And I remember finally achieving all of the things that I thought were going to bring me success, without ever having consciously stopped to think about what that meant. But I was chasing these things, and I eventually got to the highest position in the company, and I was making a lot of money, and all of my bills were paid off. I didn't have any debt. And I remember going, oh my God, what I actually wanted was to be enjoying life. And I stopped and I said, okay, I started to become conscious and go, hold on a second, this word success, what does this actually mean for me? What do I want this word to mean for me that would actually serve me? So that day that I started asking myself that question, I changed the definition of success to how much time I spend loving being me. I changed the definition of one word. I got more clear, more specific, more clarity on one word, and it changed my entire existence. And it led me to where I am now. So when someone says they want to be healthy, stop and consciously decide what that means, versus potentially getting that definition from society, getting that definition from your family of origin, getting that definition from culture. It's like when you're looking at what you want, love, same thing. Oftentimes, a lot of people that I do coaching with, their definitions of love came from what they watched around them. Is that actually what you want your definition of love to be? You can pull bits and pieces. So when you go through what you want, it's understanding you can dig deeper and deeper and deeper into clarifying the different layers and definitions of the words you're using, and just start to become more conscious about constructing your desires and more clear. So always a layer deeper and a layer deeper. I play a game with myself. It's actually a game I share with you in the book. The book just basically shares the journey of how I went from a life that was kind of meh to a life that's like, oh my God, hell yes. And I love my life completely and utterly. And I'm always creating more and more things in my life that just are magic moments. And I love who I am. I love the body I'm in. I love who I spend time with. I love the environment that I'm in. So it's one of the things that helps get me there. One of the tools, which is in the book, is constantly just stopping and asking myself, in this moment, what do I want? What do I want? What do I want? What do I want? If it's for lunch, what do I want? If someone asks me, oh, where do you want to go tonight? I actually stop and ask, what do I want? Versus, I don't care. What do you want? So there's this piece here around, in order to create a life that you love, in order to be able to work yourself towards whatever it is that you're desiring to experience more of and be more of, you have to have clarity of your desire, and you have to know what you want. So it's like a muscle. We got to exercise that muscle. It's a desire muscle. So the next thing is, You have to actually ask for what you want, right? Like the words have to come out of your mouth and you have to actually ask for what you want. So the first thing is you knowing what you want and you getting really clear on it. And then the next thing is you have to actually ask for it. So, and this one's kind of two-layered because it's, you have to ask for it and you have to align yourself to receive whatever it is that you want. So, thinking about if I said, I really wanted to lose weight. So back when, actually, I'll give you a tangible example. When I was awakening to higher levels of consciousness and really creating who I wanted to be, a version of me that I would love being, and a life that I loved living, one of the things I identified that I wanted was to create an environment where I had full presence and full consciousness. And some of the things that were getting in my own way was drinking, and I was drinking and I was smoking cigarettes and I was eating a lot of junk. So I had to first vocalize out loud and ask people around me to support me. I said, hey guys, I am going to do a 30-day cleanse. Does anyone want to do this with me? And one of my girlfriends was like, sure, right? So like, but I had to like get the words out of my mouth, right? And then I had to start asking people. After 30 days of being sober, I actually realized I had a pretty big drinking problem because I realized every moment of the day, whether I was happy or sad or whatever, it was my only coping mechanism and coping outlet. So I said, okay, that is not the kind of life I want. So I really want to give myself permission. For some people, they can have one drink. I am not some people. So it was, I started to have to tell people who I typically would socialize with in a drinking environment. I had to start asking them to meet different places. Hey, I'm no longer drinking. Let's go to dinner, or you know what? Let's go shoot some pool, or maybe we could go to yoga, right? So the thing is you have to know what you actually want, and then you have to actually ask for what you want. Or if you are in a relationship and you want something to be different in a relationship, oftentimes, and this happens with a lot of the clients, it's like we would love for the person to read our mind, right? And it's just like, that would be great. And or probably not so great when you're irritated with that person, right? Because then they could read your mind there too. But it's just understanding that you have to actually ask for whatever it is that you want. And that starts with you knowing. And then understanding that you have to be in alignment. So if you want to, so when I wanted to get healthy, well, pizza was no longer in my alignment if it was going to be something that I was going to be eating every day. I remember my diet went from like pizza, mozzarella sticks, hamburgers, and hot dogs to, I had to actually ask myself, what am I committed to? I'm committed to health. I'm committed to creating a body I love being in. I'm committed to self-love. I'm committed to nourishing my body. So I had to align my thoughts with that commitment. I had to align my actions and my choices and my behaviors with that new commitment. So whenever I noticed myself wanting pizza or wanting to drink or doing things that I knew weren't actually in alignment with the type of life I wanted to live, the type of me I wanted to be, I would, and I still do this, I still consciously ask myself, okay, well, if you had that pizza, not that you can never have pizza, right? But like if every day you're having pizza, well, I also identified I am allergic to gluten and dairy and. So pizza is not, it has to be vegan and gluten-free pizza for me. But it's understanding that even if I know that's going to make me sick and I'm still craving it for some reason, I stop and I ask myself, if I did that, what am I committing to? Like, what is the actual, like, what am I making the commitment to? And sometimes it's, I'm making a commitment to comfort. This, for whatever reason, I'm needing this to comfort. And it's like just being conscious about what is it that you're actually aligning yourself with. You're going to notice a pattern here. It's all about increasing your consciousness. It's not like you can never make a decision that is outside of the alignment of what you want. It's just, don't lie to yourself and tell yourself it's in alignment or that it's okay. right? It's like just getting conscious around, what do you actually want? What are you actually committed to? Is this thing I'm about to do in alignment with what I want? And if not, why and what's that all about? It's just getting curious. The third thing that often happens where we are able to step more and more into creating the life that we want, whatever it is that we want, whether it's, again, this be healthy, balanced, fulfilled, and excited about your goals, is you have to know why. You have to know why. Why are you doing this thing? Why do you want this thing in the first place? Why are you taking action towards this in the first place? What happens a lot of times is people know the why they're doing something at the beginning, and somewhere in there, in that process, they lose connection with the why, and then it almost feels like they're pushing themselves. So I'll give you an example. I decided I was going to do an audiobook that was in tandem with, so the book that is out came out in 2016. It's in print, bestseller. It's amazing, right? And so many people wrote in and said, when is this going to be on Audible? When are you going to do an audiobook? And I never really felt pulled to it until I noticed myself starting to consume more and more audiobooks. And I was like, oh my God, this is like such an amazing way to consume information. And then I started to realize this information could be delivered to so many more lives if I just sat down and made an audiobook. And I knew it was going to be a big project, but I sat down before I even committed to the project and said, why am I doing this? Because I knew I needed a why, because it was going to be an epic feat that I was taking on. So I was like, I sat down and I have it written out somewhere, because I just wrapped up the audiobook. So I wasn't looking at it as much towards the end, but it was like constantly reading this thing over and over again. And it was basically telling me the why is this information will be able to be in individuals' integration into their energy faster if you give it to them in a way that they can consume it faster. Also, people are asking for it. So it's just, I knew that I know this information is a game changer for people, for them to be able to create whatever it is that they want. And so it was like, it's 350 pages. So I knew that people were reading it, but that they could do it faster and it could just be more powerful, and that they could take me on their commute. They could take me to the gym. Like it would allow them to have more time in their day if I just created an audiobook. So, and it just made sense. It would also be able to, people, that don't even read the print books. It was just another audience that could actually be able to benefit from this message. I remember then about like, oh man, the project started getting like, it was 4 days in the studio. I thought it was going to be less than that. I thought I could knock it out in a day. And it was like, nope, 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. By the time we were coming up on the 4th day of the studio, I was tired and I was exhausted. And this happens to all of us at some point in our journey, where we're really excited about our goal at the beginning. And then, yeah, it's great. And then we kind of trail off. And what I realized was I had totally forgotten about why I was doing it. So, and sometimes we need to change our why, right? Like the reason I started the business, when I started the business 6 years ago, was a totally different why than the reason I'm doing the business today. So it's understanding, it's like I'm adding on to it as I go, because the mission is shifting and changing, and the amount of people that are in the equation now. So you have to know for yourself, why do you actually want to do what you're doing? Why are you doing it? What is it? And the more juicy and emotional that you can tie it to, the better. So if you want to be healthy, one, you have to know, what does that mean? Specifically, what does being healthy mean? Like, how will you know when you're being healthy? Is it a specific choices you're making in a day? Is it a certain measurement? I don't know. Everyone, it's going to be something different. And then why? So for me, as an example, I knew that when my why for quitting drinking, which has actually made I've been sober 5 or 6 years now, and my why was because I knew in every single fiber of my being that if I chose to drink, that I was going to prevent myself from being able to have healthy romantic relationships. I know that in just the way that I behaved and the way that I would communicate with people, because I never stopped after one drink, it was like, it wasn't healthy. So me not drinking is tied to such a powerful why. I want to have healthy, loving relationships with people. So that is such a powerful why to me. I could be around people drinking and have zero pull to it. Right now, carrot cake and pizza, I have a little bit harder of a time with. So maybe I need to sit with some of my own whys on that. So, but it's understanding, right? It's like, it's why. Actually, one of the things I've started doing recently is creating a why log. And basically what that is so say I have something that I know my body is going to reject, like carrot cake or pizza. I've started actually writing out, sorry, my dog is playing on the floor next to me. I've started actually logging out how I feel after I eat that. Because what I'm trying to remember is, in the moment that I need the why, my brain is usually telling me another why. Well, why you should eat this is because it's so yummy. And oh, do you remember that one time and it was so good? And it tells me all the reasons why I should eat it, right? Because it's I call it the ninja mind. It's the version of the mind that wants to assassinate all your greatness and keep you small. So it's understanding that version is going to be sabotaging you, because it's saying like, yes, it's safe over here in this, we know this is real safe. Have this carrot cake, have this pizza. And so it's understanding that I now have to outsmart some of my saboteuring ways. And I go to my phone and I'm like, oh, 30 minutes after you had that last time, you couldn't breathe. I get like sinus, it's like my sinuses block up. I sneeze, my stomach hurts. And so it's just understanding, you just have to know why, and you can get creative and anchor in different whys. Another thing to think about, so we've had 3 so far, right? One is clarity of desire. What do you want? 2 is ask for whatever it is that you want and make sure you're aligned with it in your thoughts, in your words, in your actions. The third thing is you have to know why. And you have to constantly reconnect to your why. So if you feel yourself stuck or starting to slip down a slippery slope, it's just like, hold on a second. Why did we start this in the first place? And the fourth thing is, look for areas that you might be handing your power away. Because, and I'll tell you what this means, you have to own your power. So I posted something on Facebook today, and Grace Maria was like, yes, that's totally in alignment. And it basically said, if you kind of sort of try, you're going to kind of sort of get results, right? And one of the things I was saying is, you get in life what you put into it. You get out of things what you put into things. So don't get mad at whatever's going on, whatever the results are. Don't get mad if you're not actually putting work into it. So oftentimes what happens is we are inadvertently handing our power away. If we really say, okay, I want to be healthy, I want to be balanced, I want to be fulfilled, I want to be excited about my goals. And it's like, okay, well, what are you doing to create those things? And when I say handing your power away, those are your excuses. Oh, I don't have time. Oh, you don't understand. It's my favorite one. It's my favorite one because when people tell me that, it's usually at a live event or a live retreat where we have many other people, and the person is so irritated because I'm not buying I call the avatar Victima. For guys it's Victimo, but for girls it's Victima. We all have her or him. And so it's like, that version of us that has lots of excuses why we don't have what we want, and it's not our fault. It's never our fault. And so it's just, my promise to people who work with me is like, I'm not going to get in the same box with you. I'm not going to buy your Victima's bullshit. And so it's understanding that if you're making excuses that you don't have time, that you don't have the money, you don't have the resources, or, there are other people you have to take care of, or whatever it is, you have too much to do at work, you're handing your power away because you're focusing on all of the things that you can't do. And the thing when I'm saying it's my favorite is when they're like, you don't understand. And Victima gets really angry with me when I am challenging her. And so you may even notice that as you start implementing some of these steps in order to create more of what you actually want, that your Victima kicks up a little temper tantrum, or that your ninja mind gets smarter than you. So sometimes what I say about that is, whatever your ninja mind is telling you, like where it's like the ninja mind's like, eat that carrot cake, it's so yummy, and it's just a little bit, that when you start to get conscious and you pull up your phone and you're like, okay, actually in this log, it says that last time that I ate carrot cake, I got really sick. And so no, I'm not going to do that. Thank you anyways. It starts telling you different stories. So just know that the smarter you become, the smarter your ninja mind becomes. And oftentimes the more that your Victima rebels against you. So just looking for, I think it's like a treasure hunt to look for Victima. I'm always looking for, where is she showing up in my life? Where am I feeling like life is happening to me, or poor me, or I can't believe this person did that, or I can't do it because this or this or this. When you find those things, that's actually where the gold is, because you can then start taking your power back. Because part of this one in owning your power is focusing on what you actually want, not what you don't want, which we already talked about a little bit. Because Victima, handing your power away, is going to be all the things you don't want. Also focusing on what you can control. Like, what is it that you actually can control? It is not other people. I will give you that insight. You cannot control other people. So if you think, if there's a story somewhere in your mind that the reason you don't have what you want, or the reason you don't feel the way that you want to feel, is because of someone else, you're handing your power away. So focus on, what can you actually control? What is your responsibility? Look for where you can actually take your power back and shift into your own seat, where you're in the driver's seat and you're in control of the outcome. So the question I always ask myself is, but what if I could? So if I think I can't do something, I'm always like, but what if I could? If I think I don't have enough time, it's like, but what if you did? Where might you be able to create time? How might you be able to work towards this? What might you be able to do? It's like, my brother called me one day and said, so the book originally was written just for women. The audiobook, enough men had written in and had read the book that they said, can you please do the audiobook so that we can hear it too? Because I in the book, I'm like, yeah, girl, get it, sister friend. And so all the guys were reading through this, what I call lady language. My brother called me one day and he read it. He read the book and he said, I think one of the most powerful things I got out of your book is I identify when I'm being in a state where I'm handing my power away, and it allows me to just immediately snap back into my power. Because if you think that your happiness or your goals are contingent upon something or someone outside of yourself, you're immediately setting yourself up to fail. And I like to set us all up for success in whatever way you define success, right? Which is just helping you create whatever it is that you want to experience and to be. And that means that you are fully responsible to create that. So just paying attention to that. And then finally, the last piece is leveraging the art of the pull. So if you're doing something, like this actually is really common. Someone told me a few months ago that they wanted to work out. And you can even hear my energy. I'm like, whoa. Like as she was telling me she wanted to work out, her energy was just kind of like, and what we basically figured out was like, in order for her to work out, she kept pushing herself and pushing herself and pushing herself and pushing herself. And in her particular case, I could not figure out why she actually wanted to work out. She already looked like she was in great shape. Like I couldn't figure out why she wanted to work out. She couldn't really tell me why she wanted to work out. And there was so much should energy in it. So if you have a goal and you're like pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing, stop and think like, is this actually something that you really want? Because if not, then you may not even be able to create the leverage of pull. Pull can only happen if you genuinely want something, you want to do something. And as an example, like, did I want to change my life radically, as radically as I did the first year of my sobriety? Probably not. Consciously, I it wasn't something that I realized how much I was going to change my life. But what I did want was love and connection. So I wanted that enough that I could leverage that particular desire and I could pull myself forward. The way to leverage the art of the pull is to love on yourself, to reward yourself, to celebrate yourself, to focus on what you're doing right. The push energy happens when it's like, you've got 6 more miles to go, go. And it's like, hello, I just did 36 miles. You know what I mean? Like when you look at your goal in terms of metric points, it's like, I just did 36 miles. You're not going to give me any credit for what I've done. We can't I can't get some water. I can't take a break. This is metaphorically, of course. Right? So think about how often you stop and actually celebrate what you've done, or stop and say, I hit that bar that I set for myself. I'm going to reward myself and raise the bar. Often what happens is we raise the bar before we even get to the first bar and never even acknowledge to ourselves that we raised the bar. It's like we gaslight ourselves. Gaslighting is just like, I think I love that word, but it's basically like a psychological manipulation that makes you think you're crazy. And we do it to ourselves. We say, okay, here's the bar. When you hit this bar, whew, life's going to be good. And you're like, okay, I'm ready to rock. Let's do this, And then before you even get to that bar, you're getting close to it. You actually raise it without having a conscious conversation with yourself. And now all of a sudden, you're not enough until you get to this new bar. And you keep doing that and you keep doing that. Eventually, you having a relationship with yourself, because you are the person raising the bar and you're the person trying to achieve the bar. Eventually, you stop trusting yourself, and you start to ask yourself, why bother? What's the point? You keep telling me something's going to happen when I hit this. Like, okay, so what happens when you become healthy and you become balanced and you're excited about your goals? What happens when you want more? Because the thing in life is that if we're not growing, we're dying. So we're always going to want more, right? So like, there's something really beautiful about giving yourself permission to grow and expand and grow. And leveraging the art of the pull means that you actually stop, you pause, and you consciously celebrate yourself, or, you reward yourself. So when I did the audiobook, I knew I needed, especially because I could feel I was close to the end and I was starting to run out of steam. And so instead of being half-assed running through the finish line, I wanted to keep going through the finish line. And so I have learned all these little life hacks that allow me to shift my energy. And I said, okay, what's my reward? It was like that version of me that already knew that there was some shenanery. Again, I make up words, but I really like that word. So like shenanery, that version of me that knew that you were going to raise the bar, and after the audiobook, you were going to make me do something else. This is my conversation with me, myself, and I. It knew that. So I started to negotiate with myself, and I said, okay, what's my reward? And the other part that's the doer was like, the reward is the audiobook's done. And the other version of me was like, no. What's fun? What are we going to do that's fun? Like, that's That's what I want to know. That's what I'm invested in. And I needed all versions of me on board to keep going across the finish line. And so I was like, okay, well, what if we went to the seaquarium and we swam with seals? And then the fun me was like, I am first in line. I'm going to run across that finish line. It's going to be amazing. And I can't wait to go do that thing. Right. So you just have to understand, what is it that you would be really excited to be able to run across the finish line, right? Or whatever it is that your goal is, or whatever it is that you're trying to create for yourself. Because at the end of the day, even when you're trying to create a life that you love living, you need tiny little chunks to get you there. This is not about this one big thing. Again, fuzzy targets don't get hit. So you need to understand, okay, what's the first step and what's the next step? And really, you only just need to know what the first step is. It's like the Martin Luther King quote where you don't need to see the whole staircase. If you're trying to create something, you just need to see what the first stair is. You might see the first or second one, right? So for me, it's like an audiobook, a clothing line, like all these little tiny pieces that eventually will make this big puzzle. This is how I build the business, right? And so I also, when I finish, I like having like a tangible something to remind me to actually anchor in that I accomplished that, because our confidence comes from knowing that, like, oh my gosh, at one point that was just something I was thinking of. And now it's actually something that was created. It's like something that came into fruition. So I, the other day went on Zappos and got like some fun leopard loafers from Guess, right? And then I launched a group coaching program that I was really excited about. And it was just, I'm super pumped. We closed enrollment, and I was just really, really, really excited for who had signed up for it and what we were creating. And so I got some like tropical loafers, right? So every time I look at those shoes, the leopard ones remind me of the audiobook, like, oh yeah, I did that. That's amazing. And the other shoes, the tropical shoes, reminded me of this group coaching program that's currently running. So it's like constantly reminding me, look what you're doing, look how far you've come, right? So sometimes we need those little pieces, like, what am I rewarding myself for? Why am I doing this? What am I working towards? And what am I going to get when I do that? So it's understanding all these little pieces. So again, first of all, you have to know what you want. Clarity of desire. What do you want? Second, you have to ask for it, and you have to align yourself with it in your mind, your body, your soul, your actions, your thoughts, everything. Is what I'm currently doing in alignment with what I've actually said I want to go, where I want to go, what I want to do. Just having conscious conversations with yourself. And if not, okay, well, what am I really committing to here? What's going on? Get curious. You have to know your why. So the third one is know your why. The fourth one is owning your power. So just looking for any area that you're handing power away and just reminding yourself that you are the one that is fully responsible for your happiness and for whatever it is that you're trying to create. And if you don't believe that fully, then you're handing your power away somewhere and you're making someone else responsible for what's yours. And the final piece is leveraging the art of the pull. So giving yourself permission to create celebration and rewards and looking back at all of the amazing things that you've done up until this point. And if you're ever stuck, one of the really cool things is looking back and looking at a time where you were stuck and you overcame that. So that's another thing you can do to leverage the art of the pull. So we have a question. What would you suggest to someone that truly doesn't know what they want, but they know they want change? How do they discover what they want? That's an amazing question. It's actually really common for people to not know what they want. One of the things I would recommend is to start flexing that desire muscle is to legitimately just all day, every day, ask yourself, what do I want? And not literally all day, you don't have to, but like you can start with small things. I talk about this in the book because the book is really about helping people learn how to master the art of desire, how to step into like, what do you actually want? Who do you want to be? A lot of times what we want, it emerges from new questions being asked of us. So in the book, it's basically like having me coaching you through it. I'm asking you questions as you go. So I would recommend getting the book would be one thing. One of you is writing in saying you're going to get the book. So this is what the book looks like. It's on Amazon. It's called Epic Sexy You. I don't know if it shows up backwards on your screen. And then Morgan Field. It'll be on Audible within the next, hopefully 2 weeks. So you'll be able to have that, but it's definitely in tangible print. Personally, I'm the type of person, so you have to go with what's good for you, is I enjoy having this for referencing the exercises. This book is full of different exercises. People told me you could have broken it up into more books. I'm like, this was the book I was looking for when I awakened, and I wanted to know the answer to the question that was just asked, which is, what do I want? I had no idea. And I was looking for this book. I was looking for something that would guide me through, who am I? Who do I actually want to be? What do I want to create? Why do I want to create that? What do I want? So I would say that the audio book's really cool because you can hear things over and over again. When I was doing the editing and I was listening to things over and over again, I was like, yes, like remembering some, I call it awesomeness amnesia. Like sometimes we forget how awesome we are, and then like you hear different pieces that like reintegrate you with your power. And that's what the book does. I channel a lot of stuff. So the book was essentially like, I'm a conduit for information. So I read my own stuff because it's just coming through. So another piece that's coming in is, I thought I knew what I want, but I will need to step back and think about this now. Yeah, exactly. Like, it's understanding also is sometimes we want something at one stage of our life. Oh man, no one prepared me for this on my journey, and then sometimes we evolve and grow into something, wanting something new. And then there's like this mourning that happens as we step out of an old identity and into a new one. So eventually I'll do some writing about that because it's really profound. And so I'm sharing that with you so that as you go through this journey, you just realize that if you're experiencing any mourning or grief on like, man, I wish I knew this stuff sooner, or you start to become a new version of you and you can feel the old version of you is hanging on tight, that's actually really normal, and it's really good signs that you're growing. Another way just to figure out what you want is, just start with little stuff, like deciding what you want for lunch. It's a tiny, tiny little thing with very little consequence. And like, if you want your salad with no tomatoes or the dressing on the side, but typically you don't want to be a bother, then that's a great place to start, in terms of what do you actually want. If you're talking about, the thing is, sometimes our mind makes it more complex than it needs to be. And it's like, well, how would me deciding what I want for lunch have anything to do with me deciding what kind of life I want to live? And the answer is everything. Because oftentimes, and I talk about this in the book too, oftentimes what happens is if we're unable to make decisions, then we can't actually give ourselves permission to decide really big things of what we want. So again, it could be something like, what do I want to do this weekend? Like, what do I actually want to do this weekend? Not what should I do and who needs my help and all of that. No, like, what do you actually want to do this weekend? So, or what would actually excite you and delight you to do at some point this week? I mean, it's just giving ourselves permission to, for me, one of my number one values in life is fun. So I'm always asking myself, how can I gift myself some fun? Someone else, it may be, why don't you guys pop in some values on the side? So like one of my biggest values in life, fun, adventure. Anyone else want to pop something else into the chat? You're reading my mind. I got some soul sisters. I'm excited. Yeah. So like fun, adventure, right? So for me, those are the things I'm constantly looking for. A spontaneous date night, right? So here, right. So there's the other thing too, right? Is how do you express that what you want is something that's spontaneous, right? And so sometimes our mind will go, well, I really want a spontaneous date night. But then if I ask for it, is it really spontaneous? And then your mind does this whole like ninja mind, like cuts your awesomeness down and it's just like, boom, now she's not even going to ask, where it's like, literally you could just say, I want a spontaneous date night. You know what, babe? I want you to surprise me with a spontaneous date night. Or, you know what, babe? I'm surprising you on Sunday. I want you to pack a bag of this, and this, wear your gym shoes, whatever, right? Like, we can create whatever it is that we want. We just have to ask for it. And so it's tiny. Yeah. It's like, what else, like tiny little things. It's funny to me because, gosh, the tiniest moments tend to make the biggest impacts in life. All you need is one reference point that desire brings something beautiful, and you'll want more. So I'm hearing that a lot of the ladies in this group want smoke and bods for the summer. I live in Miami, so I need to smoke and bod all year round. That's a great accountability, a great why to be living somewhere where I have a pool in my backyard and a bikini all year round and a beach. So yeah, if you want a smoke and hot bod, then man, you can apply all the things we just talked about, right? One is, what does that even mean to you specifically? That is going to mean something very different to me than it is to someone else. Have you guys ever seen someone and you're like, this happened to me a couple of months ago, where I was sitting with a friend and she told me that this was the year she was going to get really sexy. And I was like, what? Because like, I look at her and she's gorgeous and she's beautiful. And I already she has an amazing body and she's incredibly fit. And I was just thinking like, so understanding that whatever the hell that meant to her was something totally different to me, because I was like, well, check that off your list. You already nailed that. So you have to know what that actually means to you if you want to smoke and hot bod. How will you actually know when you've achieved whatever that is, And all of these pieces that we played with will apply to that. Anyone have any questions? All right. Yes, you are so welcome. Awesome. Well, so just to give you guys a heads up to connect to, I love staying connected with my soul tribe. So I am on Facebook and also Instagram at Epic Sexy You. So is this showing up the right way? So EPICSEXYYOU. I am on YouTube as Epic Sexy You, but it's all one word. Because if you put those words in on their own, it's very interesting what these words represent to society that they don't to me. It's so, I always kind of enjoy the juxtaposition of life. And what else? Yeah, and I actually post different things on Instagram than I do on Facebook, which is cool. But I love those mediums of connecting. And then on the website, so if you go to www.epicsexyu.com, so that is 2 Y's, EPICSEXYYOU.com. At the very bottom of the page, it'll say, drop your email, join the tribe. I learned in the business world how mind-boggling boring it was to sit in a meeting for the sake of sitting in meetings. And I kind of feel the same way about newsletters. So I don't send out newsletters, but I'll send things out when I feel pulled to. So it may not necessarily be the most consistent, but I would actually say, if you ever want to know about the retreats or any group coaching that I'm doing, or if you want any, like when I record stuff like this, I'll share it with people. I do a lot of really cool videos or interviews or podcasts. I share those with my tribe as well. So if you'd like to join, sometimes my mind moves faster than my mouth. If you would like to join the tribe, I would totally recommend that as well. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Yeah, so definitely, I don't know, there's something about a book in my hand that feels really nice. So feel free to get that on Amazon, and then Audible will be out soon. So I'll be able to go on your workouts with you. You guys will be able to take me wherever your hot bods are going. So I'm excited, super excited. Awesome. And thank you for joining. And I will make sure that you guys get the recording. So have an amazing evening. And if you have any questions Oh, also, if you have any like side note questions, oh, thank you, love. I appreciate that. If you have any side note questions, feel free to email me. So it is it's morgan@epicsexyu.com. So MORGAN @epicsexyu.com. So thank you for all the love that I'm getting on the chat. I appreciate you, and I'm excited. And please definitely connect on Facebook and Instagram and all that yumminess. I'm excited. So awesome. All right. Well, have a wonderful evening. Thank you for letting me share it with you, and see you guys soon. Bye.